Hey there, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of the Risk Matrix with myself, Dr. Logan Martin, and my friend James Junkin. Hey, James.
Hey, we survived Mardi Gras, me and Chris. He rides in the parade. I
There
just
we go.
stand on the sidewalk and catch the beads.
There we go. Today we got with us Chris Detillier from Veriforce. We'll get to you in a second, Chris, but welcome to the show. James, start off the show. Let's rip something from the headlines.
Hey, a lot of news out about OSHA and this new letter of interpretation about rechargeable lithium ion batteries in the workplace, which powers things like e-cigarettes and phones and all these gadgets that we have now. All those are lithium batteries. And if laptops, if you've ever gone through TSA, what's the first thing they say, when you're checking your luggage in? Is your check bag got a lithium battery in it, right? Because it's a fire hazard. Well, doesn't matter who owns it, if it's owned by the individual, if they are injured in some lithium ion battery disaster at the workplace, their e-cigarette burns them and they need treatment more than first aid, that's a recordable, people, according to OSHA. Roll Tide.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. I know we have a lot of people these days who are vaping, right? I'm sure those are lithium ion, just like the e-cigarettes. So keep that in mind. Thanks for that, James. Today with us, we have Chris Detillier from Veriforce. James, you have Chris's bio?
Hey, yeah, Chris Detillier, man, we've been friends now for 18 years. Chris Detillier, welcome. He is the HSE Manager at Veriforce over at the Expert Services Department. He holds associate degrees in petroleum technology and safety technology from Nicholls State. He is an ASP from VCSP. He has his Master Safety Professional from the National Association of Safety Professionals. In his role at Veriforce, he does everything related to safety. He's a lead subject matter expert across a lot of different various industries. He helps hiring clients. He helps contractors. He has experience in the field. He's worked onshore. He's worked offshore. Welcome, Chris, all around safety professional to the podcast, baby.
Welcome.
Roll Tide.
Appreciate that. Thanks for the great introduction there, James. And yeah, happy to be here today to talk a little bit about safety and helping out companies to make sure that workers get home safe at the end of the day.
Yeah. So we heard you got something brewing over there. You wrote an article or did some research that we'd like to hear about. James, I think you know a little bit more about it than I do.
Yeah, Chris has been out there on the speaking circuit lately, and just pull this up here. I think I was at another event the same time you were there, but it looks like that you gave a presentation that was well attended. A lot of people thought a lot of it. Energy Transition Theater, Survival of the Strategic, Best Practice, Risk Management Strategies. And it was really a case study about one of the clients that you have. You don't have to talk about, specifically who that client is if you don't want to, but give us a gist about what this best practice risk management strategy is related to contractor management.
Yeah. So, we did, like you said, a presentation about one of our big utilities clients that we have here at Veriforce. Just like a lot of the industry, and I mean, whether it's utilities, whether it's oil and gas, whether it's construction, one of the things that we find is companies do a pretty good job, pre-qualification wise of contractors coming in from a company standpoint and company wide, right? So making sure, metrics are appropriate, making sure there's MSAs and there's insurance requirements are met at the company level. But as well as I do, the real breakdown happens where? It's where the employees come in, right? So the employees going out in the field, do they have all of those requirements? Yeah, as a company, we may have training for electrical, workers. We may have licensing for those. We may have other trainings that are necessary for these employees or contractors as a company level, but does everyone have that? And don't even mention the fact that half the time we get out there and we do audits and assessments and we're talking with companies and we start asking, hey, who do you work for? And then you get the response, well, I work for XYZ company. I'm actually a subcontractor for this contractor that's at your site. So that's where a lot of those breakdowns happen. And really this presentation was, are you managing that process well? You know, what steps do you have to really manage those contractors and ensure that the people coming onto your site have the right credentialing? You know, and really the big success story for this, just to get it in a very short spiel here, is this company saved, just in the short time that we rolled this out, this product we have, almost $1 million in labor savings, and it was really by pre-qualifying and really making sure that these workers had what they needed before they got to the gate at these generation facilities, um, and didn't allow them to have to sit at the gate and wait for the orientation, or wait to make sure that they had XYZ training, or come back when they had the right credentials and get someone else to go into that site. So that was the big success story. The amount of time and money savings that it saved that utilities provider, as well as, of course, making sure workers were safe because they had the right requirements to be on those locations.
Well, it sounds like to me, you know, you mentioned pre-qualification, but it's kind of like moving beyond pre-qualification and
Correct.
getting into worker qualifications, preparing people for onboarding off-site rather than on-site, understanding, you know, who's going to be on your site, what the qualifications of workers are, and being able to access that data. You know, Brent Kellercamp, who at the time was with Ogletree and Deacons, is part of our also part of the Veriforce Strategic Advisory Board. He and I put an article out back in, I think it was September last year, about the limits of standard indemnity agreements as far as protecting hiring clients from contractor worker claims, subcontractor worker claims. And this seems to be an effort to move beyond just saying, we're going to paper over this. You know, we're going to have a rock solid contract that may or may not work. You have to go check the article out. If you hit me up on LinkedIn or email, I'll send you a copy of it. But this is an effort to move beyond that. And it seems like it's an effort to move beyond just simple pre-qualification. So how did that work as far as worker qualifications and verifying that workers are qualified to do the jobs?
Yeah, correct, James. And just you know, like I said, getting it really down from the company-wide level to the employee, and could be training, could be qualifications, you know, could be drug screens, could be background checks. You know, this was something that this utilities provider had included. And again, that can differ. We all know different sites are going to differ based on their requirements and their specific needs and risks. And that system, WorkerPass that we rolled out for them, that system is tailored to those locations. So not only was it a benefit for the utility provider, but it was also a benefit to their contractors, because as a, you know, a safety person for this contract company, I've sat on that side of the table on the contract side. And there's a lot of things happening, and we got to juggle and make sure that people have the right requirements. We work with different companies. We need to know what's needed for this company based on that company. That helped those contractors, because now they can go into the system, they can look up their employees and say, okay, they're going to this specific location. It gives them the layout of everything that they need to be able to enter that facility and be pre-approved. So instead of waiting for a call at the gate to say, hey, I don't have what I need, I gotta go back to the office and get some trainings, or get some additional documentation, that can be done ahead of time. So it really saved those contractors. It allowed them to know who I'm sending is already going to be vetted to be able to go into this facility and start work right away when they get there.
So let me ask you this, Chris. Have there been thoughts about winding that worker pass into like gate led badging, so that you could or does it already do that, where the badge, you know, he scans his badge, she scans her badge, and it
Yep.
comes up and it goes green, right? And then they
Yep.
let you in like through a turnstile. Is that how that works?
Yeah, great point, Dr. Martin. That's exactly what it does, right? So as a client, they have the option to get a QR code reader with those employees. Each of them gets a QR code established with that employee. They scan in at the gate for that location, and just as you said, it'll pop up green saying that, hey, they're good to go, or red that they're deficient in something, and they can go down and look and see what it is they're missing. They can get it corrected.
That's handy.
You know, one of the things that Dr. Martin I've run into, particularly in construction, is when workers need to provide evidence of OSHA 10 or OSHA 30 to get on job site, right? And you said something about that really hung out with me, because I remember sending a bunch of safety professionals off to a job not too long ago, and none of them, everyone, all of them had OSHA 30, right? But nobody had the card, and we didn't know that was a requirement. And we get up there, and I've got guys with master's degrees, CSPs can't get through the gate because we don't have OSHA 30, right?
Mhm.
And it was a big deal trying to find the replacement cards, and you know, some of them ended up having to take it in a hotel online or something to get a certificate to get through the gate. We didn't know that was a requirement
Mhm.
until we got to the job site. So I think it's
Exactly.
great being able to communicate not just in the MSA what the requirements are, but something that gets from legal to us that's pretty handy, and we can tell whether James Junkin's qualified to go through the gate or not.
Yep. Exactly.
What about matching?
But I think what you might be alluding to is matching training requirements to worker qualifications. Is that a capability and function that you have?
Yeah. So you could set up, as a client, they can determine if I have this worker that's going to be doing, let's say, electrical work. They could say for that specific job task, we can decide, hey, I want to see this person's license. That they're a licensed electrician. I may want to require that part of that job they have lockout tagout training. They maybe need to have NFPA 70E training in that. That can all be customized based on that specific role type to let them know these are the credentials and training that you need before you come to work at our location.
And
And like I mentioned, background checks, drug and alcohol screens. We do have some partnerships with providers that can actually be merged into there, and integrated data wise into that system with those providers. But again, it's up to that client. What do they want the workers to have before they enter that space? Not dictating the training that they're getting, but saying, if you come to work with us, this is the expectations of what we want you to have. We're not telling you who you got to go to or what class you got to get, but this is the basic requirement to get in.
outstanding. You know, I like the fact that it also integrates background checks.
Mhm.
So in the past, I can remember there not being a very good verification piece. It's always inside of different MSAs that we see hiring clients sending out that you need to sign, that workers need to meet, but there wasn't a verification process of it, right?
Right.
And some people did it, some people didn't do it, some people, who they used might not be, I called around and they were good to go. And then we find out, they're a former serial killer. Roll Tide, right? So part of all of this, I think, welcome back, Dr. Martin.
Sorry about that.
Part of this, I think, is for the hiring client, you're exercising reasonable due care,
Mhm.
right? Which is a burden when it comes to liability, when it
Yep.
comes to defending yourself against OSHA, multi-employer citation policies, or if there's an incident or some type of violation. This seems to be a holistic approach centered on workers to be able to give data to the hiring client to know who they have on their sites.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
before I cut myself off, I got a question for you. So I'll let you answer James first, and then I got a question.
Yeah. So James, to your point, exactly. This is giving those requirements to say we're doing our due diligence, right, as a client to say these are the requirements for you to perform this specific task. And like I said, we're not dictating or saying this is what you got to do or how you have to do it, but you need to have these requirements prior to getting on. And again, this process does that, right? It makes sure that they have the information it allows us to do due diligence to make sure that those employees, they have what they need to work at that location. Did I hit that correct, James?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. I think so. Dr. Martin?
So my question was before I got cut off there, has there been any thought to task matching? And by that I mean, not everybody needs everything, right?
Right.
But some people need some things. And
Mhm.
so, if you load in tasks, um, and you can tell me if stop right there, we've already got that. But, it occurs to me that tasks, if you load them in and you load in the required training, you can not only go green for the work can be on site, but the worker is cleared to do the work that they're
Correct. Yeah, we did hit that, Dr. Martin. James figured that's where you were going with that. So,
good.
but yes, it does that. You can set those parameters based on the type of task that that worker is doing. Another good thing with this and would save time is we allow the client can actually house their own internal training here. So, for instance, on-site orientations. Um, that can be a video embedded that can have a test as well linked into it
Nice.
to where those employees can take that orientation from their app right there. They can go in their phone and look up their worker pass and it'll say you need to take this orientation. They can click on that orientation and they can take it right there and get approved to have that orientation prior to getting on site. And then to your point, those specific OSHA or risk-based trainings that we have for whatever craft they're doing, that can be added in to make sure that they're compliant, right? They have the training needed to perform work.
Hmm.
In a lot of assessments we've done, this is so needed, so needed, so needed.
100%.
Uh, Very large logo. Did a bunch of assessments for them over the past 3 years. Uh, Contractor with a subcontractor locking and tagging out an anhydrous ammonia line.
Hmm.
We discovered during the assessment 2 minutes and 56 seconds of online e-learning training for lockout tag out. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You'd be amazed.
You
That's
don't
common.
have to be a safety professional to know that doesn't even sound right. It's not going to sound right to the jury. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound right to the OSHA area director. And if we can get ahead of this and get people the training that they need, maybe we don't get to that point where we're having to talk to the OSHA area director or we're having to talk to some judge and jury because you've got some bunch of workers have been killed, you know? So I like this idea of not only not directing the work, but confirming that people are properly trained
Hmm.
to do their job. I also like the fact that, hey, a lot of this stuff that needs to get done that's site specific, whether it's site specific emergency action plans, okay, site specific training, orientation, particularly if you're in construction, 1926, 34, 1926, 34, and 35. There's a lot of specifics and differences between that standard and what's going on in emergency action plans and general industry. Got to have more details in construction. We can take care of all of that. So when the workers get to work, they can go to work.
Yep. Exactly.
That's got to save money.
Great.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Not only that too, and Dr. Martin brought up the point of checking in and having scanners, which, like I said, we had that ability, so employees can get in, and it actually will track too. It can kind of track check-ins, check-outs when that person entered, when they left that location, and tasks can even be assigned to that worker on exit. So if there's some type of disclosure, sign off, documentation that needs to be completed, those things can actually pop up for that worker when they exit facility. So there's a lot of tools that could be utilized here to help both contractors and also clients to ensure worker safety and to increase efficiency. Really.
Yep. Next up, Chris, is to put an RFID tag on those bad boys that they're using to sign in on, and start tracking task proximity to each other.
Hmm.
I
That
tell you,
occurs.
everything in this industry is driving down to the worker,
Yep.
driving down to the worker. What is the worker doing? Do we have
Where
the
are
tool
they?
to monitor? Where are they? What are they doing? How are they doing it? I was out client the other day, and they make these glasses that are have video capabilities and
Mhm.
things, and now they're putting Z87 lenses in them. And I got to thinking about all the applications. Hey, man, if I've got a let's say a lockout tagout permit, wouldn't it be cool? I just hit my little glass right there, and then I've got a snapshot or a quick video, so you can confirm all of the isolation devices that's attached to the permit. It goes back to the control center. We've got verification, right? So
Yeah.
anybody that steals my idea, send James Junkin a check.
Well,
Hey, I
they
thought
already got the glasses, James. So you're out of luck on that. But yeah, I use the Google glasses when I do site audits, site inspections, right? And take video, upload them to my inspection forms, and it's not a bad idea for people to do verification that way too, and weave that into the system for permit to work activities.
Hey, Chris,
That's
let me
awesome.
ask you this. Can you turn it off? Meaning, let's say we have a worker that's been dismissed, or they violated our zero tolerance workplace violence policy, or they got arrested for some reason and they no longer meet our security protocols, and we want to deny them access.
Yes. Yes, it can. So good point on that. And another point to bring up. So to answer your question directly, yes, it can. You can say this person is no longer granted access. It'll flag them no matter what they have in the system. If you want to set it that way to say they're not allowed to work here anymore. Again, it goes by the individual worker. So that could be a change of company that they go to. It's still that worker. That would be flagged at that location. So that's a good point to bring up. And the other thing is going back to some of these training credentials, background checks, things like that. There is you can set periods of time on these as well. So you can set for these things to expire. So any trainings, if you need to keep up with the recurrent trainings, if it's something like respiratory protection that OSHA says you got to do on an annual basis, you can set those parameters for those workers and it will time out on them. It will give them notification ahead of time to say they'll get email blurbs that say, hey, your training respiratory protection is going to be expiring in 90 days, 60 days, 30 days, whatever parameters you want to set there to help those workers keep up and their contract companies keep up with their training as well. So out of this, one of the cool things that we found was with the utility provider that we rolled this out with. Like I said, this was rolled out in just for the short duration that it's been rolled out with them. There were 509 drug and alcohol test screens that we found that were expired on workers
Wow.
Wow.
that were in the locations performing work. Not only that, 91 outstanding background checks that had slipped through the cracks, without the system in
That's a
place.
lot of background checks to slip through the cracks.
And the scary thing, 52 fake IDs were
Wow.
discovered.
52 fake IDs. Imagine
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Imagine
So
that.
good information comes from it. It keeps a real time tracking on, hey, who's in our locations? Are they compliant to do the work? And again, as James pointed out, it does that due diligence for that client.
I mean, when you think about, I always think about criminal background checks is we just want to make sure we don't have any murders, people, all that. So I think it's great. If you finding that people don't have the proper identification raises a tremendous red flag to me. And maybe that makes sort of a single source of truth. So you don't
It's
have to go
exactly.
to multiple different platforms, applications. Oh, drug test is over here. The background check's over there. I can look at
Yes.
Chris Detillier and see, is Chris Detillier sketchy right now? Are you sketchy, bro?
It
You
could
used a
go
ba-
in and out
used
though,
a bad
Chris. You can do
example there,
sketch
James.
now and sketch later, and maybe in between not so sketch.
Hey, does it identify whether you're an Alabama fan or not?
Well,
Green
if
flag.
that's the case, I'm sorry to say I'd be excluded from the site. I'm a Tigers fan.
Well, we
Oh.
can't all be winners. We can't all be winners. Can't all
Well,
be
Chris,
winners.
this sounds like a really good thing. Where can they go? Listeners go to find out more about what you're doing with this initiative.
Yeah, go to Veriforce's website. Go to Veriforce, and the product is WorkerPass, Veriforce WorkerPass, and that can be again. You can contact us at Veriforce, inquire about it, and we'll get you more information on that tool. But like I said, it is extremely valuable. You know, I mentioned some of the things, out of that too, for the success story, there was 12 about 12,000 digitalized documents that were given to employees through this. You know, check-ins, checked in over about 4,000 employees into these generation facilities. And this was rolled out to just a very small portion of this utilities company. This wasn't even company-wide yet, that this success came from. And then, of course, about 500 trainings for their employees on orientations to get into those locations. So a lot of good benefit there. Like I said, if you have any questions, reach out to us at Veriforce, and we'll talk to you about WorkerPass.
Awesome. You can find Chris on LinkedIn. You probably can find him through Veriforce. James and I can get you in touch with him if you want to talk to him directly. James, what do you got for our listeners?
Hey, we got a lot of upcoming events. This will actually air after this conference starts, but hopefully some people at the conference in DC, at the Global Chem Conference in DC, February 23rd and 24th, that you'll be there. If you're there, give me a shout out. I'm going to be there. I'll be discussing building a safer supply chain, chemical management for employees and contractors. Great panel discussion we're going to have there with a lot of cool, very guests on that panel. I'm honored to participate. We'll be at Nate Unite out at Las Vegas, February 24th and 25th, out in booth number 311. So, if you're out there at Nate, go stop by Veriforce's booth number 311. And then over in March 4th through the 6th, I think that's right, March 4th through the 6th, the American Clean Power Association Conference in Orlando. Check out Veriforce. They'll have a booth there at number 531, booth 531.
Awesome. And if you love us and you like listening, you can subscribe, tell all your friends. As James likes to say, your mama wants you to listen to the Risk Matrix. Your mama also wants your friends to listen to the Risk Matrix. So please help giving us support on Spotify, Amazon, Alexa, Apple, all the different places you can find us. You can find us on Veriforce's YouTube channel. Please keep listening. Thank you for your support. And let's keep bringing workers home safe from high hazard jobs. And James?
Hey, thank y'all again. Thank you for your support. Till next time. Y'all bring those workers home safe. Roll Tide. We're out, baby. Thanks for coming, Chris. Later.
Thank you.